All right, folks, we're back here at the Reggae Money Show. Before we start talking about the websites again, Miguel, I think we have a question that was on the website that people responded to. You want to answer that, or let's talk about that question?
Yeah. So as always, we're bringing you this segment. We call it the mailbag segment, the email segment. You know, where we take some of the questions that Ron and I have been getting all week long, and we take one of the questions and we feature it here on the show. With Reggae Money Show with me, Miguel Noches, and Ron Costa. So today's question, Ron, comes from Beverly. Okay, Beverly is out of Connecticut. Okay, and Beverly says, "Hey guys, love the show. Thanks so much for the information. You guys are always bringing it, and it's always interesting to hear how much Miguel can scream on the radio." That's interesting. Thanks, Beverly. Appreciate that. My question is in regards to what are some of the qualifications and what are some of the things that a company who is considering a reggae should have posted on their social media. I understand that social media is a big component of reggae. Is there something that you guys can address that talks about websites and social media and what is not allowed? So, Beverly, you are the inspiration of today's show. So Ron and I took this question to heart, and we decided that it was just not a question for me to answer, but that we would devote a little bit of our show to what a website and a company should do with their website and a whole show in regards to, you know, the social media component and the website component to a successful reggae offering and how to get everything coordinated. And for that, I am going now to do something that I don't do, and I'm going to throw an audible, and I'm going to hand it off to my co-host because Ron, he is the guru of the websites. So he's going to talk a little bit about the websites, and then I'm going to talk about, you know, what we can and cannot do in a regulatory manner. Okay, some of the things that you should look at, or what some of the things that you should definitely have on your website, and to make sure that you got a good fundamental place for investors to go to when they're looking for information in regards to your reggae. So, Ron, give them the ideas about, you know, how a business, what are some of the important things about a website?
Well, first of all, it goes back to what we've been saying right from the start, that this Regulation A+ is all about the crowd and trying to communicate with your crowd, make them your evangelists, basically. Now, social media is the way to do that, of course. So at this point in today's world, I mean, you have to have a website, right? But you also have to have social media accounts. And with that, you're talking Facebook, you're talking Twitter, Instagram, and that's at the very least. Add YouTube to that as well, and a few other things. I know there's a couple of Pinterest and a few other social media platforms out there that a lot of people like to use. But Facebook and Twitter, for sure, you pretty much have to have an account. Okay, so now you get the account. That's pretty easy. It's free. Everybody knows how to sign up for those. The problem with that, though, is that you have to update it all the time, and you have to update it with content. And you have to update it with content that's not just that's intelligent content. It'll get people into what you're doing. It's a great way to keep in touch with all your subscribers and all the people that would like your brand. As you continue to update these sites with videos, with press releases, with articles, with all kinds of things that are happening within your company, all kinds of milestones maybe, you announce these things. You announce it on Facebook, you announce it on Twitter, you put out an Instagram post, and certainly with the video too. If you know how to do YouTube well, YouTube is an amazing device for getting your word out and getting people into what you're doing. And it's free. So you got to, I mean, for whatever reason, people don't use YouTube, they're out of their minds, you know? So anyway, that's pretty much the start of it. You have to have those components on going. Now, you know, the problem with that, again, you got your own business to do. You might be in the medical business. You might be an automaker. You might be that doesn't even matter what industry you're in. But just because you're in that industry doesn't mean that you're an expert at social media. That's a whole industry in itself. To hire somebody to do this full time, that's quite a lot of money. But you know what? It has to be done full time, because if it's not, you're not communicating with your subscriber base in the right way. And if you don't do that, then all of a sudden people are less likely to maybe take you seriously in terms of the reggae. So it all is a big circle. You have to put out information. You got to ask for feedback. You got to get your subscribers. You got to get people liking you. And it's really, this industry wasn't around, Miguel, like 20 years ago, obviously, right? This is a new thing. It's totally new. And the people that are doing it right, the people who are doing it right are getting the crowd. These guys, and of course, there's also technology companies out there that will help people to build that crowd. But it's a consideration, of course. You got to be able to do it. Now, let's assume that you're doing your social media right. You have all your accounts. You got it all set up. You got your Facebook. You got your Twitter. You got your Instagram. You got your YouTube, etc. Now you also have your website. So what do you do with the website? Well, you link all these social media accounts to your site. So when you tell someone to go to your website, when we say go to reggaemoney.com, there's a bunch of links at the top of Reggae Money that you can see all our social media platforms. And every company should be doing this, every single one of them. So that's pretty much to answer the question, Beverly's question. Create the social media accounts, put them on your website, link them on your website, and then just go out there and you can either promote your website in general, or you could promote each individual social media platform, by itself, one way or the other. As long as you're getting people, you're getting traffic to the site, you're getting more and more people who are looking at you and following you and understanding what you're doing. That's the key on that. And again, one last thing, Miguel, about this, the content that you create has to be good content. It can't just be just fluffer stuff. It's got to be real interesting. It's got to be insightful, that kind of thing. It's got to show people what you're doing. I mean, that's why I love video. Video is the best way to do this.
Right.
If you don't have a Reggae Money Show podcast, you got to go with the video. And by the way, all our podcasts are converted into video on YouTube, just so that our subscribers know that.
That's excellent, right? So, but here's the other thing, Ron. One thing that I want to add on here in the social media, there was, I think about 5 years ago, okay, the SEC came out with a ruling that said all publicly traded companies can use, and this is when I knew that, we had arrived, can use Facebook to send out news in regards to their public company. So that means that you would send out one press release that said, hey, if you want to get information about our company, like us on Facebook, and we'll keep you updated on all the happenings of our publicly traded company. So now publicly traded companies can use Facebook to dissimulate company information. Can you believe that?
No, that's a big plus. Can you do that on a traditional IPO? Are they allowed to do that? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, no, you're allowed to, as long as again, we talk about all the disclosures and everything else that we're doing. You've got to talk about disclosures. So here's Ron just gave you some really good points on what the website should have. Now, I'm going to circle this back up, and we're going to wrap it up in a nice little bow for all of you who have just turned on to the Reggae Money Show with Ron Costa and me, Miguel Dotres, that we bring you this great content every week. Every week we're here talking to you about reggae. And now, here are some of the things that you should be looking at when you're contemplating reggae to have on your website. One, you have to have the investor relation page. You have to have where the investors are going to go to click, I want to participate. You got to have that page. You got to have that page that talks about, this is our offering. This is what we're offering. This is why we're different. This is why we think that we can, revolutionize this industry. This is what we think that we can do. Here, click here if you want to join, if you want to be a part of our success. You got to have that page. You got to have the disclosure page. You also want to have a page where you are linked directly to the SEC, where people can see your filings live, which means there is a plugin or a service that you can purchase that plugs you into the SEC's website, the RSS feed of the Securities and Exchange Commission, where you could keep your filings live on your page. That way, the investors don't have to click out of your page to find all your relevant filings. And that's very important, guys. You want to make sure that that's out there for everybody to be able to participate in and be able to disseminate their information. Now, I do agree with Ron wholeheartedly. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is the minimum. But you can use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to get the message out. Using that social media component allows you to reach a bigger crowd, and you should be able to reach a better crowd. And how do you do that? By setting yourself apart, like Ron said. Ron said you had to have unique content. You do, but you also have to have a distinguishing hook between you and your other competitors. Why are you so different? Why are you worthy of an investor's look or investor's investment? So you have to have those things. And you also have to have all your disclosures that go along with that. But the disclosures are part of your filing. And if you have your filings as part of your website that people can get there, you can cover those disclosures. It's very important that you use the safe harbor disclosure on your website. It's very important that you look into that. You want to make sure that your SEC attorney is looking on your website, making sure that you got a sign-off, that you just don't turn all these things on without checking with counsel, making sure that counsel is good with some of the changes that you've made, especially if you're planning to go Reg A+, all right, because you want to have those things on there. So, Beverly, I go back to you. This is your question, all wrapped up. You got a twofer. You got an explanation from Ron, and you got an explanation from me. And this is what we do for our guests. Because of people like you, Beverly, that are listening to us every week, you guys wait for the podcast to be uploaded by Ron. So that way you can be the first ones to download it. So you can see what cutting-edge information we're bringing to you this week. We appreciate you. And I know I don't just speak for myself, but I think Ron will also agree with me. We are very proud of the work that we're doing
Absolutely.
here. And thank you, and we thank all of you, we thank all of you, okay, for joining us here every week and downloading us and subscribing and clicking on Ron's page. Because that boy Ron, that guy, he busts his butt every week to bring you guys. And not only that, but he's also published. See, Ron is published on newsletters that come and take his content and publish them on newsletters. And not only that, but you've seen the results. What is it? iHeartRadio, Amazon, this and that, and iTunes and Spreaker and Stitcher, all these platforms. That's all because of Ron's networking through the website and all the work that he does. So, Beverly, from us to you, thank you so much for your question, and thank you so much for the inspiration to our show today. We really do appreciate you very much.
Yeah, and Miguel, we touched on something that another point of this is there are companies out there, you talk about having an investor relation page on their website. A lot of these companies, maybe they don't know how to do that, and they can't do that themselves. There's also a lot of web portals out there that are doing something similar, putting all the Reg A information out there online for people to download and to view, and even to sign up for a lot of that. So that's another alternative on how to use your website.
Yeah, but that's for another show, Ron. We can't cover it all in one show, Ron. We gotta do that show that you and I have been talking about with all the platform and the different platforms and all this new technology that's coming out. Maybe we can even get a guest that'll talk about some of this technology that's now becoming available to companies to use to help investors to help companies manage investors and everything else that's going along those lines. I think that would make a great show, Ron.
Interesting you said that, because I think we have a guest lined up for our next show that might just go right into that. So that was it's a good take on that, Miguel.
Yeah, so you guys, you have to stay tuned, because the Reg A Money Show with Ron Costa and Miguel Dotrin is throwing a lot of heat. We're throwing heat. We're throwing punches. We're all over the place. We got information coming. From industry professionals. We got takes on all kinds of aspects of Reg A that you're not going to hear anywhere else. You could go sit down with an attorney and maybe a brokerage house or a market maker, and they'll give you some of this information, but they're not going to tell you what to watch out for. They don't have your backs like Ron and I do. We're going to tell you what you should be asking the lawyers, what you should be asking the PCAOB auditors, what you should be asking your market makers and your broker dealers. We got all the inside information right here on the Reg A Money Show, and that's why it's